reaching. Aiming for maximum twist eventually. So the head looking right behind you. And it's the little finger extending forwards. And then up and down. Okay. And now rubbing the hands. and calming. Imagine energy is coming out of those points at the back of the head where we flick, coming around and coming into that point between the eyes underneath your hands. And then you can just trace like a figure of 8 with the mind. And then let's rub the hands again. And now do the heart center. And then the hands over the heart. Let's just turn the head. As you turn the head to the side, feel it pulling from that point underneath the hands. And then just feel those points on the back, equivalent to the points at the back of the head. You can think of the shoulder blades or just beneath the shoulder blades, closer to the spine. Feel energy coming out of that point, branching down one arm or just further out in the arm, back into the heart. So again, a figure of 8. Let's rub the hands again. We'll do the belly. Then the hands over the dantian. And then feel the energy coming out of the sacroiliacs. Just looping round to the front. You can either think of it going down the leg, back into the dantian, or just looping around the hip bone. And then the arms behind the back, you can either cradle them like we normally do, or just clench the fingers, grip the fingers and straighten the arms. And then back to prayer. And just feel those circuits, but especially the one in the head. Let the eyes almost cross. What they say is like you're trying to look at the tip of your nose. Not quite, because it's a bit too much of a strain. But everything looks blurred. Sense that your eyes are drifting back to the back of your head. And be aware of the peripheral vision. John used to talk about the outside peripheral vision and the inside. So when you're crossing your eyes and trying to look at a point close to you, there's a sense that you're sort of concentrating on this middle ridge. And the peripheral vision out to the sides, you want to feel as though you're seeing that from the back of the head. And the same with the arms, like those two tentacles of energy that are coming out from beneath the shoulder blades or between the shoulder blades and extending out and then coming back in to this point where your hands are. And the same with the legs. So energy is the flow of intent. So Young Ban Ho tells us. We need to investigate intent. So real clear mind. It's a mind really that's directed by spirit. You could say that intent is spirit. It's really clear and incisive, sharp. If I can see the path, then energy will flow along it. The energy's coming out of the back of these points and coming into the front of them. Just try and get into the habit of always pushing your big toes down whenever you've got your feet on the ground. Sense that the big toe is like an ear that's listening to the ground. Remember those old westerns when the Indian scout would get off his horse and put his ear to the ground? That's what our big toe does. All the toes do, but especially the big one. And when you look at it, what you realize is that the noisy mind requires the big toe to be pulled up. Listening to the ground with the feet, and if your hands are on the ground, with the hands. Try and hear the sounds of the environment through the hands on the ground. Remember Evelyn Glennie, the Scottish deaf percussion player, classical percussionist. She has to perform bare feet because she hears the music through the soles of her feet. And then rock some weight forwards and feel the strength from the ground. When I put weight on my arms, I can feel the arms borrowing the hardness of the ground. So the ground extends up my arms and creates an arch which supports me. Extending your leg. The leg should feel so straight, it's bending backwards almost. Use the thigh muscle to pull the kneecap up towards the hip. And swapping round. the butterfly. It's probably more comfortable to do it on our mat. I use this to prod into the soles of my feet with my thumbs. Just feeling the sensitive areas. And bending the big toes. And to feel that first joint of the big toe and bend it there. So we'd like to have enough control over the toes that we can push the tip of the big toe into the ground as well as the pad. I know a woman over here who she does foot massage. And what she finds is that it helps back pain, but she really goes in deep to the feet and it's so painful you feel like you're going to faint. But it is amazing that when you get up from it, your back's fine. Lower back. Back into the squat. Let's come into that sumo squat. The sitting bones extending down your feet now. Just try and get into the habit of bringing the gaze inward when you do an exercise. And you need your eyes often to set it up, but once it's set up, either a stationary posture like this or just one of the moving exercises we do, I want to get into energy, and that requires us to lose the objects around us that we're latching onto with our eyes. So energy is just movement. So we need to just become possessed by movement. External movement, so the energy that swirls around us outside the body, and the energy inside the body that's circulating and writhing its way through. So the energy inside travels largely in the fascia. And the fascia is just the connective tissue, the connective tissue. So just feel the tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth. And just feel the connection energetically. There's a flow, a potential flow anyway, from the tip of your tongue all the way down to your toes on the ground. And with the eyes looking inward, the eyes either closed or crossed, like you're looking at the tip of the nose. And just pacing, as though you're trying to walk through the wall, but not pushing too hard. Feeling the flows through the body. Feel the figures of eights. So from the sacrum down the leg, back up, cross sacrum into the other leg. That's clear because we're pacing the ground. Feel it in the arms as well. As you bring the weight into one arm, that's the energy flowing down it from the back and then back into the front heart. And the same with the head. With the head point, you can think of the eyes, but not the eyes that see, it's the peripheral vision, really. From the back of the head, you're sensing something out to the side. It's very much connected to the ear, so it's where the ear would be pointing and the temple. You put the tongue on the roof of the mouth. Without that, the fascia isn't quite connected. And then just into riding horse. Make sure the feet are right. So the middle toe forwards, so your big toes are coming in a little bit and your little toes are going out a little bit. Try and splay the toes, which means the toes will come off the ground a little bit. And then curl the toes down, especially the big toe. You can feel that raising the arches of the feet, the inner arch, which will encourage energy to bubble up the inside of the leg, especially the inner thigh here, into the groin, the belly, spine, up to the head and down the arms. Again, with the eyes, it's difficult because you're sort of watching me, but try your best not to. The sense that your eyes are looking inside and the eyeballs are actually pulling back until they're right at the back of the head. So the limbs embrace and hug. It's obvious with the arms, so let's feel the arms first. Like the arms have come out from the shoulders and have reached around the back of someone whom you're giving a hug to. So your hands are moving towards each other in order to pull that person closer to your chest. And that action of the hands is pulling the chest open. So my chest has to be hollow, so not thrust out, but it also has to be stretched open. And then just feel that as this energy flows, this figure of eight. And then we want to feel the same thing in the legs. The arms are embracing this imaginary person. My legs are hugging the ground. So my sinking is not simply bending my legs to get closer to the ground. My sinking is hugging the ground. So in the same way that my hands reaching around the back stretched open my shoulders and my heart, so the reaching down and trying to pull the feet towards each other stretches open the sacrum and the dantian. I'm bringing the other person in. I'm bringing the ground up into me. And then the same with the head. Or a sense that when you look at something, when we normally look at something, we sort of bring it into focus and it gets pushed away. That act of bringing the thing into focus makes it smaller. It's more defined and smaller. And I create a distance between it and me. So I want this feeling that I'm sending something from my eye, but from the back of the head around the object, and as though I'm trying to draw it towards me. And it's just very soft and compassionate. And there's no sense of judgment. The only reason you're looking at something is to bring it into you, rather than see what it is and then cast judgment. And of course, the difficult one is the legs, because they're supporting us. So that's the one that needs the most work. So the big toes pushing down and the tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth. Feel them connected. It's like a line that passes all the way through and ends up on this point where your tongue is. And now let's breathe. So the movements can either be with the breathing of your lungs, or you can try and feel a deeper, slower rhythm. Let's try the tree. Imagine the ground comes up to your danchen, so your legs are the roots of the tree. Your spine is the trunk of the tree, and the arms and the energy up here is the crown of the tree, the branches and the leaves. Okay, so I go down, splitting at the sacrum, down my roots into the ground, and then sucking something up the inside of the legs into the belly, the spine, and then branching out at the arms and gathering all of that sunlight and carbon dioxide. All the time twisting, wriggling a little bit. So the arms never quite in phase with each other. And let's go into the two circle exercise. So now they are 180 degrees out of phase. And this will produce a strong turn. One arm reaching out, one arm drawing in, one arm yielding, one arm attacking. The arm that goes out is with my emptying side, and the arm that comes in is with the filling side. Try and keep the eyes closed or hooded. And feel the energy eyes. So the figure of 8 in the head, coming out of the back of the head, looping around. It's basically following what your arm's doing. Tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth. Feel how important that is for that fascial connection in the body. And when we feel like all the bones are slightly separate, like there's air in all the joints between the bones, that's just the healthy fascia. Fascia that's just resonating with energy, singing. So the fascial net or the fascial network is called, they call it the soft skeleton. And one of the names for Tai Chi is boneless boxing. So soft. It's as though the bones have just melted. So your integrity is as much due to your fascia as it is to your bony skeleton. Then just connect the two circles with your mind and create a figure of 8. But it's not a figure of 8 that you're tracing with your body. It's just your mind. So I have to see it quite clearly. Mind has to be quiet and empty so that the intent can do its work. Keep the big toes pushed down. Then riding horse. Feel the arms, those tentacles coming out of your spine and down each arm, just a little bit further out. And then the same thing here. This is difficult because of bearing our weight. It tends to crush in here. So the legs and the hips tend to crush into the sacrum. We want this feeling we can just let that go. And this is where the fascia is really important, because if I want to let go of my reliance upon my skeleton, I need this other soft skeleton. And the thing about the fascia is, it's just pure listening, really. So if you just touch one part of it, the vibrations all the way through to every part. And now let's try a little bit of this one, largely to activate the feet. Feel what the hand is doing. It's stretching open, the fingers extending. I want my toes of that foot to be doing exactly the same thing. So remember, for the toes to splay, they need to lift up away from the ground. They need to become free of the ground. And then I clench them down, and it's that starts me moving in the other direction. So my leg is pushing me effectively, and then it's pulling me. The end of the pushing, the toes splay and become as long as they can. And then I start the change in direction by clenching the toes onto the ground. So feel the little finger as you reach forwards. It's the little finger that starts clenching first. It's the same in the foot. My little toe is trying to reach and pull. And finally, my big toe presses down. Feel the determination you need in the mind to make the little toe extend. That's the feeling of intent. Like you really, really mean it. You're really focusing and concentrating. And then changing the legs. Big toes in a little bit, little toes out. Tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth. Big toes pressing down. Big toes pressing down works my knees apart and sucks up into my Dan Chen from the ground. Let's try a bit of this exercise. What I want to do is feel the figure of 8 in the foot. Using the intent to force the energy along this pathway that may not be clear yet. Around the toes, from the little toe through to the big toe, and then through the foot to the back, to the heel. So this is a flow within the body. The other figures of 8 we were doing were outside the body. So to get it inside, I just need that much more tightness and intent. As I go around my heel, I'm effectively going down the spine and underneath it. And then as I go around my toes, I'm effectively going over my head. So it's like a figure of 8 within the spine. Again, toes splayed, at least to begin with, and then get them clamping down. Big toe especially works the knees apart. So we've got this figure of 8 where each loop encloses a foot, but then we've also got the figure of 8 within the foot. So one figure of 8 is outside and the other figure of 8 is inside. And we mustn't get them confused. And now let's just step using the external figure of 8, looping around this foot. looping around this foot. Feel the figure of eight bigger than it needs to be. A real sense of this energy swirling around your body as you work. Again, that requires the eyes to stop looking at things. Swapping over. And back to the riding horse. Toes splayed. Big toe pressing down. Opening here. Opening across the back of the shoulders. Opening across the back of the head. Sense that these points at the front are sucking in and receiving energy. And the eyes very much connected to this point here, so they're sucking in as well. Like you're looking at the tip of your nose. And just try and be aware of the peripheries. Tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth. That's like the little switch that turns on the singing of the fascia. And now let's move into the leg to bring the other foot up, using the figure of eight within the foot. So I reach out, like I put my big toe down, and then I go back around the heel, and then around the toes, the little toe through to the big toe, and then clench. So the big toe is the last thing to start pressing into the ground. So that's the anchor. Only once that's there that I can pick the foot up. So I reach out, The part of me that's furthest away is my tip of my big toe. So I put that down and then I suck into the outside of the heel and then around through the foot to the toes. And as they clench and clamp down, I can bring the other foot up. And this is how the foot hits the ground in Tai Chi. And also when you're walking, if you look at it, you can see that this is there in embryo, at least, around the heel. The heel of the foot is the equivalent to the thumb of the hand, and the 5 toes are the equivalent of the 4 fingers. So my big toe is actually my forefinger, not my thumb. So the big toe pushes down, but also of the foot that comes up, I'm trying to pull my big toe under. And finally, Back to riding horse. Feel the flow, the relaxation sinking through the body. And that is like an external force. So it's not just for you, it's all around you. And then feel the strength growing up from the ground. So for that, you need to push the heels into the ground and bring a little bit of strength into the lower back so you can get this sense of rearing up of the thymus lifting defiantly, almost aggressively. Big toes pressing down, tip of the tongue on the roof of the mouth. The sinking is grim, but not too grim, because we want that heavy threat to become depressed, to stimulate the spirit, to make us want to fight against it. So this rearing up from the ground, the strength coming from my digging down, that's what that is. It's very much inside my body. It's of me. It's of my spirit. Whereas all of this is of the earth. And then let's bring it up. With the big toes in a little and the little toes out a little. That's all you need to think about. But a real sense of the heels. So it's sort of something is digging back, like I'm digging at the ground with my heel that's sinking down, like the claw of the eagle, the back claw. So in yoga, they say, feel the tension on the inside of the thigh. And that's really just the suck up the legs. You're sucking energy up from your root. At the same time that you're sinking down the outside edge of it. And just feel the big toes. I think they're really important. If you find yourself beginning to think, then your big toes are not pressing down. The noisy mind is just a complete indulgence, like wasting time. And this is just this constant reminder in the foot. There's those 3 points in the foot: the heel, the pad just before you get to the little toe, so the pad on the ball of the foot, and the big toe. So if you look at your sole of your foot, then those are the places where you have the calluses.